Welcome to the 2350 Effect.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and happy Sunday to everybody. Welcome to the 2350 Effect. I like to tell people the network's the cause and this is the effect. So, welcome to the 2350 Effect. My name is Damian Kinsey. I'm the co host, co creator of the 2350 Effect, the 2350 Network, the virtual wellness experience, in the professional work life balance summit collaborator. And as always, I'm joined with my co host, Dr. Farron. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am Tanya Farron. I collaborate with Damian on all those projects that he shared. I'm also the owner of Creative Living Ideas, the author of 9 different books, including Raising the Well-Adjusted Child, a Parent's Manual, as well as some self-care journals. So excited to be here tonight to talk to you all and get back into the swing of things here. We are, 1 week post the Professional Work-Life Balance Summit. And so it feels good to be moving on from that major project that was incredible and incredibly successful. So looking forward to just having some great conversations tonight with you, Damian.
Yes, me as well. And thank you for joining us, Jackie, Christy, Dr. Ross. Thanks for joining us. Um, Put out there where you're from, where you're at, and thanks for joining us so we can acknowledge you, reach out to you. And as always, 2350 Effect, we always like to start off with so, laugh call text is that thing that in the last 7 days that made you either laugh out loud, call somebody, or text them. Dr. Farron, what is your laugh call text of the week?
Yes, exactly. And those of you in the audience, drop in your laugh this way, I should say this way, your laugh call or text, please, into the comments section. We want to hear your laugh call or text this weekend. So mine was a laugh. We went to a wedding yesterday, my family, my daughters, my husband and I, and had a blast. It was just really wonderful. It was a family friend from many, many years. Their daughter got married, and we laughed and we danced and we just had a great time together, just reminiscing and having fun. So it was a beautiful ending of a Saturday evening with our family. Had lots and lots of fun. How about you? What's your laugh, call, or text this week?
So my laugh call text, I had plenty this week that I could share. One, I was able to see family this weekend, so that was my text being on town, and also was texting my cousin. We was talking about the transition with the Jets coach, so that was my text. Um, he kind of called it. I didn't see it coming, but you know, life changes, and we're also talking about are you spending this, um, are you spending time in spaces that appreciate you, and that's a good segue into it. The Jets coach, he was they relieved him of duty, and he's no longer in that space. So they have a new coach. So that was part of my life call text. And are you spending the space time in spaces that appreciate you? Was our conversation, the topic today, and it made me think about that. Like sometimes when one door closes, you have another opportunity for another door, and sometimes you're spending in spaces that appreciate you. But they can't appreciate you to the fullest of your potential. And then sometimes relationships evolve and change. So if I thought about this topic in this conversation, and I wanted to have this conversation yourself as well. You wanted to have this conversation because there's so many layers. It could be down to are you spending in the schools that are challenging you? Are you playing on a team that is challenging you? Are you spending in spaces that appreciate you and validate you, understand? Are you in relationships? Or you're around individuals, and we all as individuals want validation and sometimes need to spend time in spaces that we appreciate. And there's something I was appreciative of the opportunity to be around so many great individuals, and I'm thankful for that. So how do you want to start this? I know I kind of started it a little.
No. I loved it. First of all, I want to say I'm feeling empathetic for you in the sense that I know the Jets, they're your team. So I hope you're doing okay with this change in the coaching staff. I know they're your team and I know you're a very devoted fan for them. So I hope that works out good for you and for the Jets. I really, I think about this and there is a lot of layers on, are you spending time in spaces that appreciate you? There's a lot of layers to this. And I've been thinking about this weekend, and I always love when we create our topics. We created it last Monday. We talked about it. And then I spend all week really spending some time thinking about it. So those of you in the audience, think about some of these things that we're talking about and drop in your comments also. We want to hear them. But the first thing that came to mind when I thought about this, and I've shared this in some other audio rooms, at one point in time when my daughters were young, my mom came over and cut out this article that you are the combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So make sure you're making good choices. And that was the first thing that came to mind for me is, when you're thinking about spending time in spaces, what are the people that you are with? You are a combination of that. And it was a big thing to share with my young kids, for them to start thinking about, if you're hanging around people that are making good choices, if you're hanging around people that are making poor choices, you're going to be a combination of those things. So which one is actually serving you better? And that goes all the way into adulthood, but I know that started in adolescence for them. My mom also used to drop little things in there. You're the author of your own story, right? You're the author of your own book, right? And so those types of things are where I begin to think and I begin processing. So those of you in the audience, start thinking about, first of all, your space that you are in, and what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like when you are in that space? And I think that's the first thing to start observing. So, and like you said, there's a lot of different spaces. There's your home personal space. There's your friend group. There's your sports team group. Mine's my golfing ladies, high school friends, work friends, family. What do those spaces look like and feel like? And so I think you have to start looking there. I think the first thing you have to think about are those characteristics and qualities you're looking for in those spaces. What do you think about that? What are some characteristics or qualities that you're looking for in spaces, places, relationships that you choose to invest your time in?
I think that's a really good question, and I think it's ever evolving. If you asked me a year ago what those characteristics would look like, they would be the core, like you said, the 5 things, the 5 individuals that kind of bases your foundation and your core. My core values will be the same. People who care about other people, different people who are versatile, open-minded individuals, and patient people will be kind of the foundation where I would start at. But it also depends on the situation. So if I'm looking for a lot of times I have to think about like the person as themselves. So what is the interest in this individual? Are they really good at like writing, and I want to learn and be a sponge for them? Even like building connections and networking is about meeting so many different people from so many different industries that I can learn from, because I don't know everything. And closing myself up to one particular industry closes me up to opportunities to learn and be around other people who are really smart and intelligent and great at what they do. So I look at versatility, ability, and I look at the opportunity and how much someone can teach me as much as I can teach them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. So thank you so much, Raheem, for joining us. For Rukia, thank you for sharing. And Elaine and Paul, thank you for being here tonight and sharing. So I agree. And I think it's important to be able to, one, identify where you're at. So everybody that's in the audience, if you're taking some notes, identify where you're at and also start thinking about those spaces that you're in. I do agree. I think, when I look at spaces, I am looking for positivity. I like to sit and spend time in spaces that are positive. Now, when I say positive, that doesn't mean fake or phony. That means positive. It can be encouraging. It can be, with a growth mindset. It can be reflective. All of those things can be positive and be an area and a realm for growth. I love positivity in a space. I love dreamers. I love people that are saying, let's try this, let's try that. How about we do this? Or that are going out to seek, right? I like seeking. I'm going to go talk to somebody that knows something. I want to ask them. I want to pick their brain. So, for example, we just, 2 years ago bought our first rental property and we interviewed people. We went in and had dinner with people that were successful investors to learn from them. So let me just take you back to what I don't like in spaces. So I don't like listening to people that are complaining all of the time. So, you have fillers and you have drainers, right? So you can have people that are filling you up or you can have people that are draining you. Now, we all have a moment where we complain, where we say, oh gosh, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. We all have those moments. But day in and day out, those spaces do not fill me up. And I don't feel that I'm good at filling that space up for a lot of other people. And so I have a hard time in those spaces. Those spaces I spend the least amount of time in. And I see, and I love this, going back up, and I know you're probably going, Dr. Raz, thank you for putting how much time is spent versus giving versus receiving, 50-50, 70-30, 30-70, 90-10. Because, we all end up in spaces that don't always fill us up or that we can't give to anymore. Because, if you ever had that person that you just can't change their mind, no matter how many positive things that you say, right? So that might be the space I spend 10% of the time in. I love that measurement, that tool of thinking about the spaces. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on those statements? I said a lot. I know.
You did say a lot. It makes me think about, like, as much as people say they want to sometimes hear your story or your adversity, sometimes people do tune you out and they don't want to hear it, and it becomes like a repetitive sound of noise to people. Um, I try to listen to people regardless of whatever they're going through, their experiences, their opportunities, um, their stories of what's going on. I try to, I think listening works a lot more than talking. You can say so much, but it has a lot of value when you're listening. It gives you opportunity to retain some information, have conversations, and build. But you do have to be careful of those situations when you're doing a lot of listening and lending the ear. Are you in a situation where the other person is being mindful and saying, hey, are you okay? And reaching out and checking on you. And I think that's important when you're having those times when you're spending spaces of appreciation. Is it becoming one-sided, or are you feeling valued? And I think it's a lot of qualities that go into that. And I think about, like, how do you evaluate those situations when you're in them? And for me, a lot of time, I do a lot of evaluating, and I don't do it necessarily from a perspective of evaluating the other individual. I evaluate myself. Am I adding value to this conversation, this space, and this relationship? So I do a lot of self inventory and reflecting on how did I create value? Did I enhance this situation? Did I leave it better, or did I do absolutely nothing and left it? Because sometimes doing nothing is doing a lot. So I do a lot of self inventory. That's how I critically think about evaluating situations and spaces.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I agree with that. I want to go back to a couple of things that we talked about. One, I want to say I want to clarify. when a friend or someone that you care about or somebody that you know is having bad situations, that are challenging or hard for them, that to me is not the negative space. That's not the negative space that I'm talking about. And so those are times as a friend, right, that you need to be there for that person and listen and support and show your care and concern for sure. But there's spaces sometimes that seem to be always negative. And so I think knowing that is important. I love what Paul said here. It's important to distinguish between positivity and optimism. And he is right. I agree with that. Find people use positivity as a mask for denial. That is true. Sometimes people want to perceive positivity, but, they're not feeling positive. So having that optimistic mindset is different, right? We all have, and we're going to get into that a little bit more when we talk a little bit more about the 2350 effect. But, those spaces are different than a constant negative space. So going through, I sort of, I'm a big self-check evaluator, and so if I'm in a space that is negative, I'm feeling, yes, oh my gosh, Christy, I feel that I have to protect my energy. And I'll sit there and think, ooh, this isn't feeling good. Like I can feel it in my body when it doesn't feel good. I'm not feeling strong. I'm not feeling like I can contribute to this conversation. I may feel like down, like the conversation is making me feel down. I may not agree with what's happening in the conversation or the tone or the level of emotion in that conversation. And so I do a bit of a self-check, and it's taken a long time to learn how to back out of those spaces. But you can back out of those spaces very gracefully and carefully and, without, making anyone feel uncomfortable, and just say, it's just time for me to go, or I appreciate your time, got to run, that sort of a thing. And, protecting your own energy is really important. I do agree with that. Making sure that you're in a space that's serving you also. How do you identify, Damien, that you're in a space that maybe isn't filling you or contributing to what your thoughts are?
I think I think for me, I know a lot of times it's about energy. You have a gut feeling, and you get a lot of different signs and energy and examples of, like, you'll have someone who kind of they think they're positive, but they're really negative.
Right.
And they can't start a statement without being negative, but they think they're positive, or the energy is kind of off, and it's no self inventory. And a lot of times those are like spaces where it's like, okay, or you have somebody who asks for your opinion, but they really don't want your opinion, but it becomes a theme of they just want you to validate what their negativity is, but they don't want to hear you being honest and say, like, so what do you think? And you say it, and it's like, oh no, you're wrong. You can't. I can't be wrong with my opinion. This is how I feel. This
Right.
isn't my critical assessment of the situation. This is what my opinion is. I cannot be wrong with it. I could be wrong with my assessment of the situation. I'm just offering my opinion. It's not about right or wrong. It's just what I
Right.
think.
Yes.
So,
And I
and
think
Dr.
that's hard
Ross had a
for
question too.
I think
Maybe I
that's
can.
hard. Yes, I think that's hard for people too, to understand that you can give your opinion and they can give their opinion, and you don't have to agree on it. It is okay. It is okay to have two separate opinions and be friends. That is okay. So Dr. Roz has a question. How do you respectfully either give more or less to a space without offending the space owner or creator? I think it really depends, I think, on the situation. And I'll give a slight, description on that. So, if it's a face-to-face, like we're having a meeting and we're with coworkers, and that coworker is, draining or is being very negative or talking poorly or gossiping or whatever the case may be that you don't want to do. If you're on a project or you're on a call, let's split this. Hey, why don't you work on this and I'll work on this, and then we'll get back together and we'll make a calendar date, and then you work on your side and I'll work on my side. And that's a great way to say, I'm not going to work parallel with you through this whole thing. You can take your time and then we'll come back together and meet on it. We can do that. And I think saying something like that, if it's a family member, you can set some boundaries. Boy, we had some great conversations at the Professional Work-Life Balance Summit on boundaries. So if you didn't get to go to that, stay tuned with us. You come back with us on the next things that we have. But great conversations on setting boundaries with family, being able to say, I'm only going to go to the family function from 1 to 2. Because that's about the amount of time that I want to give. That's about the amount of energy that I want to give. I'm going to go to that. Or I'm not going to go to it on the holiday. I'm going to go to it on a different day, or meet with those people on a different day, or maybe just meet with grandma and not the rest of the family. And there's certain ways that you can do that carefully with your family, I think. Do you have a suggestion on how to handle something like that, Damien?
I think you have to know your audience. I think relationships are key. And I think the biggest component is active listening. Listen more than speak. Listen for understanding, listen for clarity, and ask questions for clarification, understanding. And then they call it guided problem solving. You don't have to give the answer to some individuals. Sometimes you just have to give support where they can go into where they can make the decision for themselves. So those are the tips that have worked for me. They might not work for you. And if you have someone who is adamant and stuck on their particular position or thought, you have to let them live in their position and thought, and don't try to change them, because your force or influence is going to appear to be bullying or dismissive. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot about being empathetic, understanding, and know that some people get to where they need to get at different times. And whatever you left that person with, 2 weeks later, the light might go off and they'd be like, oh, okay, you actually made sense now. And it might take 2 weeks or a month or a year. So
it really is. It's in their own time. It is definitely in their own time. If you feel like you have the answer to a problem, a solution to a problem, there's oftentimes I'll say things like, try this reading, take a look at this. This may be, something that may help you. Follow this person, attend their audio room. Those are things that may help you, be able to, learn from this. Sometimes they take you up on it. Sometimes they don't. And you can't sit there and you can't cuddle and you can't babysit them, because it is in their own time. It's in their own learning. And eventually they may get to that point in their life when they need that, or when they're able to do that. So I think it's important to know that. I love that. And I think that's okay. I'm looking at some of these comments. Thank you so much for adding your comments. And I think they are great.
And I think what's important, like understanding the space you're in, like if you are being drained in a situation where you feel it's like when you go back to what you were talking about earlier, you're in a space where you feel like it's so negative. Some of the signs are, if it's making you negative, mm-hmm. then you might need to evaluate being in those spaces, because it might not be a space that you're being appreciative, because you're trying to come from a space of positivity. You're coming from optimism, light at the end of the tunnel, or rational thought, and then you have an individual who is incapable of getting out of the negative cycle, because that's what they live at and that's what their circumstances are. You might have to kind of pull back, but still be supported from a distance. And it's okay to be supported from a distance and just be able to just be a listener. Sometimes people just want to be able to go through their own thoughts and just be able to just have somebody listening. And I think it's so important when we're talking about those people don't understand what the 2350 effect is, it's all about not letting 10 minutes of 5 or 10 minutes of a bad moment define your entire day. And when you live in a 2350 effect, which is about understanding that the bigger picture is 24 hours in a day, and you have 23 hours and 50 minutes of a great productive day. You went jogging, you ate where you wanted to, you met friends, you were productive at work, you had a stressless commute, but someone bumped into you when you were going into the elevator. In that 5-10 minutes of an exchange or argument, or even not saying something to that person and living in, well, I should have said something, why they didn't say excuse me, doesn't negate the fact that you woke up in the morning, you were able to get out on time, you got to your destination safely, you had an opportunity to watch your kids, have a conversation with them. They got A's, they did well, and focusing on that 5 or 10 minutes of regret or discomfort or negativity doesn't negate that the whole day was summed up and evaluated as a good day. So you have to evaluate the space that you're in when you're looking at your whole day. Was the whole day productive, or what is 5, 10, 30 minutes of a productive day? And I think that's kind of how you start your space. When you start evaluating the whole, I think it starts changing your spaces. And when you start appreciating your own space, others can appreciate you being in those spaces as well. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts?
I agree with that too, and I want to talk about that um, because I think that's been huge this year. I think the 2350 effect has been huge since March. But I want to answer a couple of things in the chat here. First of all, I think it's important for you to have conversations and to spend time with people when they can provide that time for you. And I think sometimes people get their feelings hurt when somebody is very busy and they're squeezing you in for this 20 minutes of a day. They've got 20 minutes to spend with you. They've got this amount of time. While it may be kind, they may not be able to give you time and attention. And I think it's important that you can step away and say, you know what, I want to give you back this time. I want you to have this time and I want you to enjoy it. And you let me know when you have time that we can really be friends. We can really go shopping. We can really go to lunch or whatever that case may be, because sometimes people's plates are really, really full. And I think that's okay to step away from that. There's another question from Dr. Raz. When is it okay to say no to all spaces? And how long should that be personally or professionally? So I think there's a couple of scenarios that we could talk about. One of them being, we just finished being on, LinkedIn, like blah, 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 the whole time getting ready for the virtual work-life balance summit. But I needed a break. And so I really haven't spent much time on social media. So I knew my period of time was about 5 days. I got on, I checked some messages, but then I wasn't really spending time in the space because I needed a break from it. So I think that's each person's own time, personally, professionally. I have a hard time personally giving myself time off, even home, like lounging and vegetating, watching Netflix. Sometimes that's hard to actually do, but giving yourself permission. I may need just a few hours of a break for that to feel refreshed. So that's each and everyone's own space in time. And so I think that's important. Again, then you go to Elaine, she's talking about the death of a loved one. It can be so challenging. It can be. And that is years of time and energy and patience and healing. And, I definitely would not feel like I'm the expert to talk about that. We've got other great people that come to our summits. Deanna Pelly would be a great person to talk to or listen to on that topic. So thank you so much for talking about all of that. And Tamara, we're going to come back to your question. I like that as well. So thanks everyone for participating and being here. I also want to answer your question about and talk about the 2350 effect. So that was very enlightening for me at the Virtual Wellness Summit in March. Damien, his last session, he talked about what the 2350 effect was. And after that point, we decided to name our show that we do, the live stream show, the 2350 effect, as well as our network as the 2350 network, because it's such an important topic to consider and think about. And it was really enlightening for me. And I've been doing work for a long time to, to work about, learning about positivity and attracting the right people into my life and things like that, and looking for the right spaces that fill me up and that I contribute to well. And so the 2350 effect is really incredible to be able to go in and say, this was a moment in my day. This was a time stamp that maybe was really hard or tragic, that maybe was, just made me uncomfortable, made me angry, made me upset, made me sad, or even made me excited, right? Like sometimes you have really great things and you think I can't do anything else today because I just want to think about this really exciting thing. But the truth is we have other things sometimes that we have to do. And so taking that and kind of putting it in a little package and setting it away and being able to go about our day and think about all the great things. I was on my computer for a minute here because I did write a blog. I don't have it on here now. I'll have to pull it back up. And it was all of the right things you did that day. So sometimes we focus on that one bad thing. But if you sit and you think about all the right things, all of the good things that you did that day, you would be surprised at how many awesome things that you do in a day. And so I'll give you an example. So I was vegging out today. We've had a very busy weekend. We were at a wedding. We were out of town. We did all kinds of stuff. And I was vegging out, just kind of binging on some Netflix. And I thought, I'm just being a bum. Like that's where my brain went, like, oh, you're just being lazy, just sitting around doing nothing. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. I've already vacuumed the house. I've already gotten myself ready. I've gone to the grocery store. I got dinner ordered. I've got all the groceries for the week. I've got it put away. I emptied out the refrigerator. I loaded and unloaded the dishwasher. I wiped down the counters. I took the Windex and did the microwave and the dishwasher. And I went through this whole list and I thought, oh, it's okay that I'm sitting here for 3 hours, right? All the right things you did today. No, what are you thinking about? All the right things. That's how I kind of think about the 2350 effect. Like we can dwell on that one thing, but there's so many right things that we already did.
I agree 100% because we're talking about tips and warning signs and what are some of the things and how do you evaluate those. And I think a big key thing is when you evaluating that is, well, let me hold that thought. Speaking of a break, let's go into the break first, and then I'm gonna come back with some of the tips, the warning signs, and some of the pivots that you can do when these things are happening. Because these are some of these things that I've seen and I've listened to and I've heard other people, and I think they're so valuable and important. And I want to make sure I spend time on it and not kind of miss out on it. I do want to talk about the mag. So the Helpful Living magazine is out. This is the old one we had. So this means there's two of them. So this is this is the new one. Sorry.
This is the new one.
That banner up there is the old one. So this is the new one. So this is the Helpful Living magazine. I have my copy right here. It has me in it. It has other people in it. This is the physical copy, the digital copies of it. So many people in it. In the magazine, it has so much going on in it, and it's there. Here's the table of contents with the people in it, and it's a good, like, I guess, takeaway from the summit. It has so many helpful tips about work-life balance, conversations around how people inspire the business, who inspired them, where to connect with them. And it's a great little thing that you get. You get a digital copy or a physical copy of it. It's out there on Helpful Living magazine. It's also on Creative Living. It's on Creative Living Ideas, and it's also on the 2350 network where you can get a copy of the magazine, the physical or digital copy. And it's a great conversation around work-life balance and all the things that go into it. as well. And do you want to bring up the 2350 network? And people are like, what in the world is 2350 network? Some people know what it is. It is a network that we created around this whole concept of the 2350 effect, which is people spending all the time in a negative space and letting it consume them. We decided to create this whole particular network, and around networking, we have leadership conversations, we have lunch and learns where our community and our network does lunch and learns. We have social network, we have social events. This is our calendar for the month, a busy month of October. We have the Work Life Balance Summit 2 days. We have member meetings every month. We have a lunch and learn. We have Leadership and Lemonade, which is on a great conversation around leadership and the perspective of leadership and how to be an advanced leader. We share our tips, our traits, and our careers. We also have a social happy hour coming up, and we have so many other things to offer. We have the summits that are all put together in it, and we also have parent journey and book club as well. So many things. It's an interactive thing in space. We have an app that goes with it as well, and you can check out the 2350 website. Fill out the if you're interested in becoming a member, reach out to myself or Dr. Tanya Farron. Sign up, become a member. It's a great opportunity to connect, build relationships with like-minded people and individuals. And we wanted to continue to build on what we're doing with the summits, our particular network, and create a space and environment where people can get the same level of support services. And we also have a campus. I forgot about that. Let me show the campus with access for members
Can we show the member
24/7.
feature? Can we show them our member feature?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Sorry.
Yes, definitely. So our member features Leslie Flowers, who was out there somewhere in the audience, who just relaunched her 10th book. Leslie Flowers, you're out there. And Leslie Flowers looks a little bit different on social media right now because she is promoting her new book, and she's going with this avatar. So Leslie Flowers is out. This is Leslie Flowers, and this is her feature section. And also we Helpful Living magazine. Jamie did a great job of helping putting that together. So the member spotlight is so important and fun, and we love it. And we continue to feature members involved. Thank you so much. Signing up. Where can you sign up? Oh, you can go to 2350 Network and get a copy of the magazine as well. Maybe I should put that in there. Visit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't make comments in the section. I don't know why. Probably because I'm streaming to mine. But to answer your question, Crystal, so the next summit, the big summit that we have coming up is in March. It is the Virtual Wellness Experience. We did just wrap up the Work-Life Balance Summit. Sorry you missed that, but we'll have it again next year. So you'll come back to that one. And we have other great events throughout the year. But you can go to the 2350 Network. And you can grab that magazine here. So you can purchase the copies right down here, a digital copy or a physical copy of the magazine. It is amazing. And somebody else said there, wow, what a lineup. You are not lying. That was an incredible group of people that presented with us at the Work-Life Balance Summit. Like we were in awe and blown away by their presentations and the things that that we saw. It was incredible. Hi, Angelica. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Chiesa, for being here, my dear. And Elaine and Albert. Gosh, it's great to see everyone. I appreciate you. And Christy. Love Christy and Jackie. They're in the network. Leslie's in the network. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And
Christy's in the network. Like you said, Jackie's in the network. Leslie's in the network. So it is definitely a great experience. It's fun. And like Christy said, it is a safe space. We have speaking of safe space, we have this particular space. Christy, thank you so much for helping with these great segues. The network space, this is on our virtual space is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to members. They can go into it. That is my own picture of my avatar. This is actually a campus space, outdoor campus space. This is the auditorium stadium. This is the network, and that's also where the app is at, where members can post, put information in, highlight what they're doing. They're all in the app. Here's our virtual recreation and pool area. This is my office. And there's so many features and perks to it. This is Erica and was a member, and Dr. Farron in her office in our virtual space. And we meet at least 4 times a month. And you don't have to come to everything, but we want to have every opportunity for people to come to it. And these are some of the perks of being a member. And we just try to create value in space where people can have fun, enjoy, and be able to be a part of the network and feel like they're in spaces that value them and they're spending time in places and spaces that they can actually be um, successful and that promotes positive energy for them. So that is definitely it about that. And I promise to say something to do something. Oh, you're going to the YouTube page, right?
I am on the YouTube page, yes, right now. Yes.
All right, I'll show it real quick. So
Okay.
this is our last mini break. We need to drink water as well. So here's the YouTube page. Dr. Farron put it in there. You can click and subscribe and become a subscribe to the YouTube page. It'll give you all the 2350 Effect meetings, the lives that we do. It'll give you up to date information, a little bit of stuff that's going on, and stay in the know and the now, and connect with us. And go back and you can look at anything else about those. So those particular spaces are there. And thank you so much for that. And subscribe. Click the subscribe button.
Absolutely.
All right.
And I dropped both of those. So I did drop the network into the comment section, and the YouTube channel is also in there. So if you sign up for that, you can also sign up for Creative Living Ideas website when you go to creativelivingideas.com. And you are able to sign up to be a part of the newsletter. And then you won't miss anything either. So you'll get the newsletters and things like that.
So that is a great question. It is definitely a professional space. So it's about professional spaces and development. The summits is for everyone. The network is a professional space. So you're definitely welcome to join. If your teen is a high school student and you want to kind of sign them up and be there and try to give them that leg up, you're never too young to kind of learn and grow. So reach out to us and we can have a conversation a little bit more about that offline. And speaking of questions, a lot of times when you're in spaces that don't value you or it's not the energy and environment you want, those signs are put into play. They're there. You get a lot of warning signs. People tell you, like Felipe and them did a conversation around quiet quitting and quiet firing. And a lot of times when you have those conversations, when you see people in different spaces and opportunities, you see a shift. So be aware of the shift. Well, if you have like a personal relationship, let's go to a personal relationship with someone. You're in a space and you feel like they were supposed to champion a cause for you and they didn't do it. Now, the question is you need to always start with this. The inventory yourself first. Now, was this person supposed to champion my cause or my career? And did I even ask them to champion my cause or career? So you start there. Because a lot of times people get lost in this person was supposed to give this energy that I gave them. They were supposed to do this. They were supposed to do that. But did you ask them? And a lot of times when you have conversations with people, and I've had conversations with people who had, well, this person should have did this and did this. And I asked them, did they ask them? And a lot of times the answer is 9 times out of 10. And I do mean 9 times out of 10. The answer is no, I did not ask them.
Right.
And then it's followed by, well, they should have known. Now, we probably encounter, if we go out of our home and you are in a busy environment, 200 people a day. Responding what they should have known is not a good way to get your needs met. So when you're looking at, are you spending time in spaces that appreciate you? It starts with appreciation of yourself and asking for help and support. Saying this is what I need to do. And a lot of times people shy away from it because they don't want the level of rejection. And it's okay for people to say no, because a no answer is automatic when you don't ask for it. So those things are important when you're sitting there trying to evaluate spaces and opportunities. It starts with a conversation. Now, if you are given support and you're looking to give support just to get support back, you might be in the wrong business, because you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. Because it's starting as reciprocal. So if you're giving someone help and a helping hand, it's about, are you doing it because it's the right thing to do, or you're doing it because you're trying to get something out of it? So it's about evaluating that situation as well. So now, if you had a conversation with someone and said, okay, I'm going to help you and you're going to help me, and then you help that person and then they don't help you, then that's a situation where you're in a space where you're not being appreciated and it's not reciprocal. So it's a difference between helping somebody and expecting them to help you back and get gain off it and not even asking them, versus you made the agreement and you both said, hey, we're going to do this together. I'm going to help you here. You're going to help me here. And this is going to work. And then the person on the other end does it. So then you have to evaluate, okay, I did the right thing. I helped this person. I honored my word. My word was gold. Theirs wasn't. And then you might need to evaluate, should that be the space and place you were in, and shift your energy to something else. And you can look at it as three ways. You can look at it as absolutely nothing. You could look at it as disappointment and frustration, or you could look at it as a learning experience and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So evaluating those spaces is so important. What are your thoughts?
Well, I do. And I think about what you talked about at the very beginning. You know, sometimes our time and spaces expires. And that's not always a bad thing. That may mean it's time for us to move on and grow someplace else, to learn something new, and to, you know, develop into the next phase. You know, I think long gone are the days that people are expected to stay in a business profession for 40 years and retire from that one spot. I think about my personal journey, and you have got your personal journey and the experiences. And we've talked about this before, Damien, like when you look back and think about where we were 10 years ago and what our experiences are now, or even just 1 year ago, was starting with the very first Work-Life Balance Summit, what we knew then and what we have learned in 12 months. The amount of knowledge we've learned, the spaces we've been blessed to be a part of, the people we've been able to meet. And, you know, that we didn't have those people in our network, in our summits, more than a year ago, and how much richer life is by stepping out of a comfort area and going into an area of unknown and looking for the right things. And I think that's a piece that's important. Like, what you have to know what you are looking for and what do you want? Like, what is your personal vision and how are you going to get there? And you can set out a path and a plan for that, and go through and do all of that. And it's going to change and veer a little bit, you know, before you get to the end point. And I think that the piece is that there never really is an end point. If you are really in a growth mindset and you are continuing to grow and find people that you appreciate, that appreciate you, you're going to keep moving forward. You're never going to say, well, I'm here, I have arrived, and this is it, I'm done growing. So it's incredible to really think about that, because sometimes when people's jobs end or change, or they're not being appreciated and they decide to move on, they become sad or depressed. You know, taking that step back and thinking, okay, maybe this is a bit of a setback for this moment, but let me look at this. Let me think about this. Let me process it. And let's, you know, what are my next steps now? You know, and sometimes we need to seek professional help for that. Sometimes those changes are so devastating for us that you should go talk to a therapist. Sometimes a show like this can help you go to the next level. Another audio room could help you. Reading the magazine with all of the tips from all of the presenters, that may enlighten you and spark you. And that may make you think, that's the space I want to be in, you know? And so all of those things are really important for us to be able to do. I wanted to grab a comment in here. Thank you guys so much for all your contributions. Crystal, you said you're not finding the YouTube channel link. So Crystal, if you're still with us, it is the Creative Living Ideas YouTube channel. I've dropped it in again just now, but it's not a 2350 Effect channel. It's Creative Living Ideas channel, and that is where we live stream the 2350 Effect to it. And if you set up for that little bell, you'll get a notification on your phone when we're live. So you don't have to worry about following us on here. You'll be able to follow us on YouTube and see all of the lives that we do and stay in tune with everything. So I love all of these comments that are in here. Thank you, Christy. We rise up to the levels surrounding us. I think that is huge. That's what I was saying at the beginning, right? We are the product of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. Make sure those 5 people that you're spending the most time with are encouraging, they are inspiring, they are loving, they are kind. Whatever that characteristic means to you, make sure that you are finding that. Damien, I want to talk for a minute about, I know we talked about the structure of the network, but I want to talk for a minute about, what our hopes and wishes are for the people that have joined the network. What we want them to be able to find with the network and gain from the network.
I think the biggest thing is, and I'm trying to thread this whole conversation together. I think the biggest thing is, are you spending valuable space in places? I've always wanted to. I've been blessed in opportunities to learn from people who want to help you and teach different things, and been in leadership trainings and been in workshops, and even being able to like knock on the door or call somebody and they be able to help. Same thing with you and I with the summits. It was like, okay, people came to us and said they wanted to be a part of the summit, or we reached out and it was like, okay, can you want to be a part? And it was just, nobody said no. And to be able to have those opportunities and spaces like the summit in the network, to have those spaces where people can come and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to work on. I'm a solopreneur. This is what I'm doing. I'm an entrepreneur in this space. Do you know somebody in this particular environment? How do I do this? How do I do that? I want to talk about this topic. Can I come on the effect? I kind of want to iron this out and work on this particular workshop and project because I have to go live doing it here. Can I do it in the Lunch and Learn? Can I do it in the leadership? Have a leadership conversation? Can I learn about C-suite level leadership? Can I learn about management? Can I learn about a director versus a manager, a supervisor? Can I learn about those nuances in situations? Remote, digital, AI, how to incorporate it in my team. Am I being left out? Am I losing and living in a generation that's moved on, or am I ahead of the curve? And I want those things for our members and have spaces where they can go at 2:00 in the morning and be like, I'm up, I'm on LinkedIn, you're up too. Let's go in here and let's kind of work on a project. Let's just talk about life and have a conversation about life. Jackie did a great workshop about what do you do when your family unbalances you? And, it was so great. Dr. Sheila talked about education and being a parent, and reading is not a chore in our last summit. Carrie and Cotty talked about financial stuff. We want these environments and spaces to be all encompassing. Like, we want people to be part of the network, jump into the summit, bring people along, the magazine, and all these things we wanted to be extension. And the 2350 network is all about support, community, and connecting and networking and bringing people together and creating environments where we all can continue to grow. So that's what I kind of want and envision, and that's what it is now. But we wanted to continue to grow, and it will continue to grow because there's so many important pieces and so many amazing individuals who are part of it. So that's my
Yeah, it is incredible. And when I think about, the people that we already have in there and how they have supported each other, us included, when we sit and talk and have these fun brainstorm sessions. Like, I love those the best. We'll sit on a Saturday on a leadership and lemonade and we'll start talking about the topic for 20-ish minutes or so. And then the topic moves to something else. And the next thing you know, we're sharing ideas and helping support each other. And it's amazing. It really is super amazing.
like Raheem and Royce from Welcome to Fatherhood. They do so much in their community. They go out. They do symposiums. They're out. Christy does a lot for the LinkedIn community support. She brings that energy and helps and reposts and connects with people. Jackie, also Leslie Flowers, who's spotlighted on the network page. She's doing her book. Jackie. There's so many other people that are part of this network that I actually could be here all day just saying people's names.
I know.
And
the
network information is there. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not our network, it's everybody's. And
right.
We want people's voices to be heard and valued and supported. So
yeah. Definitely. I want to respond to Crystal real quick. I'm sorry. I'm noticing, Crystal, I don't have that one streaming right now, which I always do. I can't believe it. So I'm sorry. I will download this. I'll have Damien send me this link and I'll load it back up on YouTube. So I guess I didn't click. I'm streaming to LinkedIn, but I don't know. I guess I missed the YouTube one. So I apologize for that. But Damien,
thank you for telling us, Crystal.
Yes, thank you for telling us so I can upload that, because I will do that tomorrow by the time Damien gets it to me, and I'll upload it. Absolutely. I love this conversation. This has been great. Talking about the spaces that appreciate you, and just want you to know we appreciate you being here tonight on your Sunday night with us.
One more question.
Yeah.
I think this is a fitting one. What lessons or insights did you take away from your experiences of being in spaces that appreciated you?
I can tell you that when I am in spaces like I have been the last year and a half here on LinkedIn with my LinkedIn family and growing these ideas, that I have been inspired, encouraged, and really cared about from the people that I have been able to meet and work with. And it has been incredible. And that's what we're looking. I mean, that's who we are attracting. I want to say that's who we're looking for, but we already have found so many of them, that I love it. I love the camaraderie. I love the support. It's like just this big group that's just cheering each other on, and really just wanting to support. And so I feel like that in itself is the lesson. Like it's just been incredible. How about you?
I was telling Jackie, me and her had this conversation when we first started on Finding Your Purpose, over a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And we had this conversation. We were talking about will people show up? And I was like, we were talking like, Jackie, your people will show up for you because they show up to support you. Mm-hmm. And the biggest lesson I've learned is that your people show up to support you because they want to support you, and focus on the people who are there versus the people who are not there. Because when you focus on the people who are not there, you get lost and you miss out on the people who are actually there. And the people who are not there are not supposed to be there when they're not there. And they eventually will come, or they eventually just may never come. I'm gonna pause because I have my quote.
Okay.
It just made me segue into my quote, but I'm gonna hold on to it because we always kind of end with a quote. All right. So what I said was, your people show up because they show up because they support you. Focus on the people who are there versus the people who are not there. Um, I was listening to O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube, and he said something that really like stuck out with me this week. And he said, "Don't focus your energy on your haters, because the people who hate on you will eventually move on to the next thing. If you spend your time and energy on them, you lose out on opportunities." And
I love
he said, I've been rapping for 40 years, and people who've hated on me and misunderstood me eventually moved on, got on board, or just left, period. So
right.
that was the quote that I thought about.
Right. I've always been huge on talking about leading by example. I talk a lot about parenting. Those of you that weren't here in the beginning, I'm the author of Raising the Well-Adjusted Child, a Parent's Manual. I've been in education a long time. And I always tell my parents that I work with that your kids are watching you, right? No matter what you are doing, no matter what age they are. I have adult children. They're still watching me. And they're still watching my reactions. They're watching my actions. They're watching my moves every day. What am I doing professionally, personally? How am I treating the people in my spaces? And they're watching. And so I always find that it's important for us to pay attention to that and to think about how we are treating people. And so I'm going back to my typical quote, my same quote, my quote that's deep into my core is be the change you wish to see in this world. And I feel like that happens by leading by example. And so if I am talking the talk, I'd better be walking the walk. And so making sure that I am treating people with kindness as I expect to treat them, and so making sure that I am doing that and making the change in the world instead of sitting like what you were just talking about in spaces and looking at the negative. I'm going to go ahead and move forward into the positive. You can come along with me, or you can stay back there in negative world. I'm not going to stay there with you. I'm not going to sit there. I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to do my best to make change. And so that's it. Those of you in the audience, please drop your quote in. Would love, love, love to hear what you have to say. And then, of course, there's the 2350 effect, right?
And as always, here's the quote: "Don't let 10 minutes of a bad moment disrupt the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of your day. Make every minute and every day count." 2350 Network, it's time to connect. So do not live in those negative moments, like Dr. Farron said.
And thanks everyone for joining us. Yes, thanks for joining us this Sunday evening, the end of your week, the beginning of your week. We appreciate that you took time out of your day to be with us.
And as always, we're here every Sunday at 8 p.m. EST. So feel free to follow up, reach out, connect, put this on your calendar, share with people these opportunities to find value in these conversations. And if you're interested in coming on the 2350 Effect, please reach out to myself and Dr. Farron and start your week off with focus and appreciate your own space before others can appreciate you in that space too, and evaluate the space that you're in and make sure you're spending time in spaces and places that appreciate you. So thank you and have a great night.
Thank you for attending the 2350 Effect. If you are interested in becoming a guest or a sponsor, please contact Damien or Dr. Tanya. Join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the 2350 Effect.